I'm literally more excited about this than I am a beam swap Celica.
I'm a little closer to the controls than I remember being, but maybe I've grown.
Day 12 here, and we continue to sort a few little things out that aren't quite right. One of them being the fuel filler neck. So this connects the fuel inlet off of the C-pillar here to the tank, and there obviously would have been an OE hose, which would have had a bit of a bend in it because there's sort of a 45-degree angle between the pipe and the tank, but we were making this work in previous iterations of the car. This is like a generic fuel filler hose, and it's reinforced with metal. I don't know if you can see in here, but there is actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's metal in here, so it's very inflexible. It's kind of like me and my position on politics. It's just, and because of that, and there needs to be a bend there. It's not fitting well. It's not making a good seal.
There we go.
Yeah,
it's on. You didn't even need to cut it.
No, in fact, I think it's good that length. I need to push it onto the neck on the tank a bit more. Woo! Just like that. PT, is it leaking?
Let's see here. We good. No,
Nice.
it's working well, man.
Just pouring nothing but the finest 94 octane in here through a Subaru fuel filler hose, the only reliable part of a Subaru. We are moving on to building out the dash here, and some of it's just going to be for like mock-up or test fit purposes, including this dash panel, which is the one that we cut out for the old race pack dash. So we don't have the complete one back yet, but we're going to test fit that's in there and show you how some of these gauges fit up. And we just want to get a feel for our order of operations for like installing this, the dash pad, the glove box. For gauges, we are, as you would have seen in the first episode, are using these Speed Hut gauges. And my brother 3D printed off this ring that screws on to the front of the gauge, and it has this sort of like elevated smaller ring on it. As you can see, it sort of snaps into the back here like that. And it's going to live in there. We have another one obviously there. We've got two here. As we explained before, one of the two gauges, the tachometer is actually 4.5 inches. This one's 4 inches, so we'll be able to install this one with the same 3D printed snap rings from the backside. The other one we don't have yet, so we can't show that to you yet, but that'll go in once we get the other dash panel back. So there you get an idea of what it's going to look like, including the vintage clock on the end there, which Peter made the interesting observation that it's powered all the time, which is going to kill your battery if you park the car for long periods of time without running it. So maybe that's just in there for show and not actually going to get hooked up. Okay, well, we've put in a bunch of the dash plastics. So we've put in the column plastics, which Pete had a great time doing.
45 minutes, DP. Tell everybody, 45 minutes.
Weirdly, it takes some very specific screws of like small head diameter and specific lengths, and it just wouldn't align properly. I think partly because of the extra wiring that we're trying to hide under here from the mods that we've made to the car. We're sort of tucking some wiring in here. So we're going to put the race pack switch right up in here, which is actually, I think, a very good fit for that spot. We might do a little bit of work to kind of inlay it a bit, or maybe we'll just kind of leave it out front like that. I think it actually looks quite good poking out front like that. And as far as that hole goes, we did sort of play around with the idea of putting a head unit in there, but this actually wasn't for a head unit. This was for the HVAC control. So the head unit lived down in this area before. So to mod this to fit a head unit in it that I don't really even need or want, I wasn't really planning to put audio in this car. I'm now thinking I might get my brother to 3D print a cubby for in here so I can put my cell phone in there, and then I can just listen to music on like earbuds or whatever if I want to listen to music. But BMZ plans to be my main soundtrack in here. To complete the dash, of course, we need the dash pad, which you guys would have seen me put this cap on, this like vinyl look cap. It was a relatively easy job, although I had to do some repair to the pad underneath. But with this in here, it is going to look like a finished dash. Some of the plastics will need to be like restored a bit. We'll put some treatment to them so they look a little bit renewed, but this is a bit of a problem here right now.
It looks like we did this
went
reverse.
On.
What?
I think the glove surround needs to come off.
And look over here.
Yeah, the glove surround definitely needs to come off.
But I thought the glove surround went on before that, didn't it? No.
Yes, the glove surround had shared some with this.
Yeah. Or see, there's like an order of operation here.
I guess the dash pad should have gone on first.
How it goes on?
We thought it might go on last, but I think it needed to go on first, PT. So,
well, you know what? You could just snap your fingers and let's just, you know, show the audience how easily this gets done now.
All right, boom. And just like that, the dash is in, as are the rest of the plastics. And yes, my hoodie has changed because we worked a half day yesterday. In the morning, we went and did something pretty cool, didn't we, PT? Can I say what we did?
Sure, why not?
We went and paid for our new GR Corolla Marizo edition. So it's car 1 of 10 in Canada and 1 of 200 in the world. Not number 1 of 200 in the world, they're numbered by nation. But anyway, that's very exciting. So you will see some Marizo edition on the channel. We're gonna have a pretty killer collection of Toyotas around here when I think about a PT. Anyway, dash pad is in, plastics are in, which means we can now move on. I've got a little cleaning up to do here. We gotta treat some of the plastics, but we're gonna move on to what is possibly the coolest accessory I have ever seen in my life. This is the Strong Boy cup holder from importbible.com. And they're not joking about this being a Strong Boy. Not just because I assume it could hold a, you know, a girthy beverage, but because look at this, fellas. I mean, come on. That is the coolest thing in the world. I'm literally more excited about this than I am a beam swap Celica. This thing is so cool. So it does come with some little clips, so we'll snap it on the dash here and show you how it looks. There you have it. It just clips onto the vent there. And the ultimate test is to see if it can hold a can of no-name brand fizzy water, which it does successfully. So there you go, fellas. If you need a cup holder in your car that not only looks cool but can hold a can of something up, I'm gonna just obsess over that for months, maybe years to come. So if you want one of those, there'll be a link in the description, importbible.com.
Since we aren't running the center console, what I've decided to do here is trim this little bracket off of here that would normally join it together to give it the dash more of like that level plane. You can see I took it off of here already and it looks so much nicer. And I do have a solution for this as well that I'll show you in a second, but I've got the air saw, tiny little guy here, and it seems to do a really good job of making this cut. All right, we're almost there. A little bit of that. I'll clean that up with a file and it's gonna look mint. And I've taken a little bit of recycled plastic from Connie here and repurposed it like that, just to get this metal plate covered here.
That's good.
Yeah, who knows? You might put a button or two or something, but you can see it just like draws or closes off the bottom of the dash area here. And truthfully, this looks pretty good. You know what we could do, maybe DP, is trim that panel off, pretty tight here, so this kind of just like closes it all off.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And here's the piece that I've removed, and you can see it just flat lines this so much nicer. It gives it a sleeker look. And DP, I'm really digging the way this setup has turned out.
big progress made in the interior, but I set the shoulder straps a little too long, so I'll have to adjust those. But this at least gives you an idea of how these Schroth Racing Rallycross ASM harnesses will work. So these are a DOT legal 4-point harness. So they are street legal to use, and the magic with them is the ASM, which you can probably see better on this shoulder strap actually, the ASM section here, which stands for anti-submarine. And what happens is, in a front-end collision, this section of the strap will lengthen and allow your body to rotate as if you were in a 3-point harness. And this has met all of the crash standards required for both DOT in North America as well as in Europe too. So the seats are Cobra RSRs, which are like a vintage style racing bucket, and I find them really comfortable. I'm a little closer to the controls than I remember being, but maybe I've grown. I don't know, PT. I think it's just been a minute since we got in here, but it's just a small car. There is not a lot of room to work with, but we're as low and as far back as we're gonna go. The passenger seat is on a slider, so it does sit slightly higher, but does have adjustability for people who want to like be able to brace their feet on the floor when they're going for a joyride. They'll be able to do that. I am non-adjustable over here, so anyone who drives this car has got to live with this position. For Pete and I, it's fine. For Moose, probably not so much. You'll also notice we installed the grab handles, or oh shit handles as we like to call them up here. I don't know how they fit in here before. There must have been a bracket that was related to the headliner or something that they attached to, but we've kind of just screwed them into the metal up here. And as you can see, we do still have the exposed metal in this area. We're thinking we're going to cover the A-pillar with some of the same material that we've used elsewhere in the car, but I think I'm going to leave the rear section of it exposed because it's black. You know, the carbon roof is black, everything else is sitting in black, so I don't think it's really necessarily worth the effort of like trying to cover it.
Here is the solution for the bare A-pillar. I took some of that DI leather look sound insulation deadening and cut it out and just wrapped it up here. We're gonna glue this on, but we don't wanna do this until the windshield comes in place because I know it's gonna happen. I'm gonna glue this in place. You can see it's gonna look quite nice. And the moment that I do that, what's gonna happen? Adam's gonna show up to do the windshield and he's gonna be like, whoa, we gotta take this off because I gotta get behind here. So we're gonna leave it as is.
Well, Pete's putting some rad hoses on, and look who showed up, everybody! Yo. It's the Moose! The people have been asking for you, Moose. Where have you been hiding? What have you been doing with yourself?
Working. A lot.
He's lying. He's been driving the K20 Civic that we sold him. He's been ripping hard.
Ripping a lot of tech, have you?
Broken oil pan. Tell him, Moose. Tell him what you did.
Yeah, I did smash the limo oil pan, so it has been replaced. So, but
how did you smash the oil pan?
Well, Pete's suspension setup.
Bystander in this?
No, Pete's suspension setup was so bad and so loose, I lost it. Went sideways over some bumps and put a hole in the pan. So I blame it fully and completely on Pete.
All right. Well, I kind of set that car up too, but it was very loose, as
yes.
People would have saw in that series. So what do you think of Connie? You haven't seen her in a while.
I'm loving it. The interior's come out beautifully. Everything else is looking great. I cannot wait to see this thing on the ground and driving.
Well, that's it, everybody. That might be your only Moose spotting for this whole series, which is tragic and sad. I know you've been asking for him, but he is still alive. Exciting times here. This is Sam from FF Tech, everyone. And as you may recall from the first episode, we were talking about using this BMW blower motor. It's a rear defrost motor from an E46 Cabriolet. And Sam is a BMW enthusiast, Peter is too. So you're probably both pleased to see a BMW part go and Connie here. And
it's probably going to be pretty reliable too.
Yeah, very reliable.
Not a lot of moving parts.
I picked the only reliable part out of a BMW. I did the same with that Subaru fuel filler neck. So I liked this because it's very compact. And I just wanted something simple. I didn't want to have like a huge mess of 40-year-old, HVAC stuff under the dash. And I came across this as like a hot rodder option. And however, to mate this to the duct that's under the dash already, was going to be really difficult. Like I would have had to use cardboard and duct tape and try to bend something up. It would have been hideous. But luckily Sam and his brother Fred have access to, or they own a 3D scanner. Yep. So you guys came, 3D scanned this, 3D scanned the duct under the dash, as well as all potential mounting points for it. And then your brother drew this up. And my brother then 3D printed it. You guys do have a 3D printer.
Yes.
But it's not as fancy as my brother, so we felt maybe his would do a slightly cleaner job of it.
Yeah, I had a lot of sweeping profiles on it, so it's a little bit difficult to print, so you kind of need a little bit higher resolution printer. This is a rubber end on the duct, and it actually just fits essentially meets up perfect in there. Once it's in there.
Yeah, it's a press fit.
Probably won't even need to seal it. Wow.
Yeah.
So, and this will mount up to the factory Celica duct on the bottom.
Right.
And this will mount to the bottom side of the dash.
Perfect. So, man, thank you guys so much for doing that. And if you guys out there in internet land, or if you're local in Southern Ontario, you need solutions like this figured out, then they can find you guys on Instagram.
Yeah, so it's fftech.ca.
You'll probably see more 3D scanning and printing on the channel since these guys are local to us. So let's get it under the dash now and show you how it looks.
So you can see this is now mounted here. And then the next step is, here is that heater motor, the bracket that those guys designed. And it's just gonna fit up in here really nicely. Man, this is like a super sleek design. You can see this, the motor's gonna sit up, go in the back here once I get that in there. And then there is one screw on the left side that's gonna hold it up. There it goes, it's in place. Now I just gotta get the bolt in there and we're gonna be golden. Dave just got his gauge cluster back. You can see this is the one we are actually going to be using. And the wood here, DP, it's not a perfect match. No. I took this off, but you know, we'll put this back on. I think it's good. I'm gonna like it.
I know.
I think I'm gonna like it. It was all very, very black here.
Exactly.
This might be very, very vintage. What you guys just saw me do, I started off with getting the race packs. What is this? The keypad?
Yeah.
What is it? Smart wire. Yes, smart wire keypad mounted up. I just had to bend like a little bracket this and trim some plastic here to get this on here. And man, like this is the perfect spot for it, DP.
Really
like look at it. It's OEM.
Yep.
And we are using these Speed Hut gauges. As you can see, we showed them in a previous episode, but we had Dave had these his brother 3D print these rings for him. Sam's brother did this one, but they just fit up so well. Like this dash looks incredible to me, dude.
It looks proper, yeah.
Like
looks really
even
good.
with the clock here, the gauge almost matches, like the orange almost matches perfectly. It's super, super good. So in terms of wiring, what I really liked about these speed hut gauges is they kind of daisy chain all together. So you can see they kind of like, I don't have to have now like 4 separate power and grounds going together. I can just wire in one power and ground, and the same thing for the dimming for the lights. So they kind of daisy chain together. I really like them. And the speed hut gauges look so good. Like they have a bunch of different designs. Like you can get more period correct stuff. You can get custom stuff done. So we're big fans of them. We're gonna start using them more and more when I see these. This is, the other thing is, this is a GPS based speedometer here. So this is going to screw into the back of this gauge, and that's it, man. There is no calibration, nothing. It's going to work. We do have to do a little bit of calibration with the fuel level, but that's not going to be a big deal. So I'm just going to get this in here for now. We do have to come back and do a lot of wiring. You guys can see Master Nam is going to come back and take care of some of the wiring.
Wow, that looks really good. I do like the wood. They're close enough. I mean, if I wanted to get real fussy about it, I guess I could like sand this down and stain it to match closer to the dash.
You don't need to do it. You just got to give it to a guy.
Yeah.
There's a guy out there. There's a wood guy.
There is
that
a wood
would do
guy.
this, right? Knows the perfect stain. And
Exactly. If you're a wood guy in the Hamilton area who wants to stain a shift knob to match a dash, let us know, because you're our guy. But wow, it looks so nice with the gauges here. I mean, really the only sore spot now is the hole here where the HVAC controls used to be. And by the way, check out the power to the USB here. The key in the on position, it shows us volts to the battery, and I have a USB cable here conveniently attached to Import Bible's Melody box. This is the Resha Melody box, and it's meant to mimic those ETC boxes that you get in JDM cars that are like for tolls or whatever. So when you first turn your car on, you hear like that nice Japanese woman say hello to you or something. So this is meant to mimic that effect. Oh. I don't know what you said, but there's 97 greetings on here. Check out the quality of this USB cable too, PT.
I know.
Magnetic. How awesome is that? A really nice design.
So you take it with you. No one's going to be stealing it, you know?
And this is their Heartbreaker mirror, which is a wide bore mirror with a slight bit of convex to it. And bam, I am on there, and I am extra JDM, and that does give me a much wider field of view, as well as allowing myself to check out the beard. So yeah, this is super nice. So loving all these accessories from Import Bible. And if you guys want to go and get yourself a hat or a t-shirt or a Melody box or a mirror or those zip ties or a whole bunch of other cool stuff on there, by all means use discount code SPEED for 10% off everything on their website. And make a note too when you buy from them saying, Pete and Dave say hi. Well, fellas, it's that time. It is almost 6 o'clock, which means the end of day 13 and the end of this episode. But wow, it does feel good to see the interior basically done now. Like, other than 3D printing a cubby or putting a block off plate here, the interior is done. Yes, there's a little bit of wiring to do up in there, which you'll see in a future episode, but visually, cosmetically, the interior is done, and man, it looks so good. It looks better than I imagined it would look. I'm really, really pumped on how well it's all turned out, and just amazing what, like, fresh carpet, fresh seats, some nice accessories, some attention to detail, a little bit of cleaning does for a 40-year-old interior. So hope you guys are enjoying it. I look forward to taking some of you local boys for a rip in Connie at our lapping day maybe later this year, and hope, wave at me when you see me on the street, because this thing will be on the street very soon. I feel like my 15-day prediction is looking like we're gonna miss it, but we're gonna be a lot closer to my number than to Pete's number of 28. I feel like we might get this thing done in, what do you think now, Pete? 16, 17 episodes? Or
maybe, yeah,
days?
Yeah.
We're getting close. Not counting a dyno day and, some fine tuning and a track day, but in terms of it being able to like drive out the door, I think we're only a few days off. So hang in there, guys, and we are gonna get this thing done and show you what it looks like out in the wild very, very soon.